Oswego, New York sits on the shores of Lake Ontario and is known as the port city of central New York. Summer days are mild here, but winter is another story as lake effect snow blasts the area. But race season means a storm of a different kind at Oswego Speedway. They call it the Steel Palace because of its massive boilerplate walls. Well known as the home of super modifieds, today NASCAR stars of the Whelen Modified Tour take to the track like points contender Justin Bonsignor. And local favorite Craig Lutz, who's hoping for a good day here. And Patrick Emmerling, who won on the high banks of Bristol. Hi everybody, welcome to the Steel Palace, as they call it, Oswego Speedway for the Toyota Mod Classic 150, presented by McDonald's. I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside Ray Evernham, and Derek Perniciglio will be joining us in just a few minutes. Ray, this place can be tough, especially if you hit those walls.
Oh yeah, if you don't like speed, this is not the place for you, Ralph.
Oswego, New York, as we said, on the shores of Lake Ontario, 157 miles away from Buffalo. Now, they do cover those big steel walls with some foam blocks, and that can help on impact, but losing could really impact you in the points here today. Ryan Preece, the new points leader, 2 up on Kobe, Penix, Salamino, Bonsignor. They're all alive.
And Ralph, stuff happens so fast here, you can gain or lose points in just a blink of an eye.
Let's introduce you to the man covering the action in the pits today. Here's Derek Perniciglio.
Ralph, Ray, welcome to the Steel Palace here at the Oswego Speedway. And it's one of the fastest and most well-known short tracks in the United States. And it's called the Steel Palace for good reason. Former track owner and builder Harry Caruso was in the steel business, and he used most of the inventory to build all this you see around you, including the walls here at the Oswego Speedway, which are half-inch thick, heavy-grade boilerplate. So while some tracks in the United States use concrete or even Armco barriers, Oswego uses steel.
And Ralph, I can tell you, I've hit that thing, and that's just the way it sounds in your helmet. Bong!
Yeah, feels pretty tough too, doesn't it?
It does. You don't bounce off it very well.
Well, here's a look at those that have won races this year, and finally, Doug Kobe has added his name to the list with a victory at the last event at Seekonk at the Cement Palace. Well, let's take it back in the day to 1988, the first time the Modifieds raced here. Jan Leedy was on the pole, and how about Jimmy Spencer?
Mr. Excitement.
He sure was behind the wheel of a Modified, wasn't he?
He really was, and this, you can see there's some tough names right there. I just saw Spencer, Jamie Tomeno, George Kent. These were the kings of the 80s.
And that's Brian Ross in the 69 taking the lead, but how about that famous 44 coming up to challenge?
Oh yeah, there he is, the Reg. And I saw Tony Vecchio behind him. Some great names. A lot of winners right there, Ralph.
Reggie Ruggiero and Brian Ross would battle on this day, coming all the way to the checkers off of 4, and it's Brian Ross taking the first ever victory for the NASCAR Modifieds here at the Steel Palace. Well, starting on the pole here today for the 2017 version is Matt Hirschman. Derek is down by his car.
Ralph, Ray, for the second week in a row, Money Matt Hirschman is on the pole in the number 60 machine. He has many, many laps here at the Oswego Speedway, but mostly in the ROC Modified Tour. And is it that local knowledge that got you on the pole tonight?
Well, it helps, but last week we had just as much as everyone else, and we were on the pole there. It definitely proves this PD Motorsports is a fast race car, and we just got to make the right adjustments here with this impound, and then today with the change set of tires. If we can do that, you know, we got a good starting position. Hopefully we can keep it up front, but last week was proof we just needed to be a little bit better at that time of the race, and hopefully we are this week, but definitely got a fast race car. Got to thank everyone that makes this possible.
It's a halfway break during the race, something that you're not very used to with some of the other previous races that you've done. How do you go about making the proper adjustments and still stay out in front of everyone else?
Well, we'll see where we're at that point. We also have the option tire, which definitely changes things. So we'll see where we're at the halfway and make hopefully the best decisions and changes we need to make, and we'll see what we got. I know my way around here. If the car cooperates, I don't think there's anybody that's better.
Matt Hirschman, definitely one of the masters here at the Oswego Speedway, and he has won the Race of Champions modified race here many times in the past.
Well, track knowledge is one thing. Knowledge of what to do with that softer tire might be the difference, though, at the end.
Yeah, a lot of strategy there. You know, that place takes rubber, and then it will change, temperature changes, so guessing right on those tires is going to be critical, Ralph.
Things might go nuclear here in a minute, too. We'll be right back for the green after this. Well, here we go. How about that right there? As we get ready for the modifieds. Is that one of yours, out of your collection?
That's not one of mine, but I'm going to tell you what, there are a lot of people followed that car for a lot of years, Ralph.
The great Richie Evans, the Roman Rocket. Let's go back down to Derek.
Well, Ralph, our Who to Watch driver tonight will be the guy that sits second in points in the number 2. That's Doug Kobe. He comes into this race just moving into the second place in points after a win at the Seekonk Speedway. When I asked him about the championship, he kind of just smiled and nodded his head, and he said there's still a long way to go, but we'll be able to tell what we can do after New Hampshire. The race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway is going to be the wild card race where anything can happen. But he thinks after that race, they're going into some tracks that they're very good at, so he has a feeling how he'll fare in this championship battle.
This is where you got to be really afraid of Doug Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe's cars are always quick, but this track's a little bit different, Ralph. We always talk about Kobe having the acceleration and turning. Here, it's all about momentum and side force, side bites. So there are some other guys there that could put up a really good fight for him.
Here's a look at that starting lineup. The former points leader, Timmy Solomito, starts in row 2 inside, outside the new current points leader in Ryan Priest.
Yeah, and of course, we go to Doug Kobe and then Rowan Pennick, bringing back that bowler number 3, showing good speed.
A couple of the youngsters deeper in the field there, Swanson and Zackham. Good young talent, and a true proven veteran behind him, and Ted Christopher.
And then veteran Wade Cole, still in the show.
Field warming up, the big tires getting ready to go here. Racing with the NASCAR Whelen Modifieds in Oswego. We're green.
Good, clean start there. You see Hirschman dive down in the corner. Looked like the inside's a little bit better, but I'm going to tell you there at Oswego, if they get some rubber on that outside groove, it'll start to come in, Ralph.
Bonsignore's 51, you see it in the middle of the pack. Here they come.
Solomito right on, putting the pressure on Hirschman.
Trying to get to the inside. Solomito in the 16. Priest right behind him in 3rd, and Kobe still holding to the inside, fighting over 4th in his black number 2.
Yeah, and Priest about a half a lane lower than those guys, right down on that inside wall. That's telling me his car's pretty good to be able to hold it down that low and still close on those guys.
That's Patrick Emmerling, the Bristol winner in the 07 on the outside of Kobe, moving in front of him. And then here comes Pennick in the famed blue number 3 right behind Kobe.
Yeah, and we saw Patrick get a little bit sideways off the corner. Kind of early for that, Ralph. He's going to have to protect against that if he wants to keep the right rear on that car.
Kyle Ebersol in the number 5 slots into 10th. You know, as you watch the laps here, that big imposing outside steel wall is one thing. But when you sit so low in these modifieds, Ray, that inside is very challenging too, because you're so down low that inside wall actually sits up very high as well.
Yeah, and as you're entering that corner, you drive into the corner so fast here. This place is just so fast, Ralph, and it's round, so you're really not off the throttle a lot. So you really can't see, you can't get a good line on where you want to be. All you know is that steel wall's right next to your head, and as I've told you in the opening, I hit that wall in a midget car, and I'm going to tell you what, it hurt. You fly around this place. Oswego is not the kind of place to come if you do not like speed. These guys are averaging, you know, in qualifying, they were averaging over 125 miles per hour.
Incredible speeds. Kobe still working on Emmerling. The surface is rough too, not just those walls. You can see the cars really working on their suspension.
Yeah, you know, their shock control is really important as they're going up and down. You want to get that forward bite and keep it turning. As we see Priest now working on the back of Solomito, that Priest's car seems to be really handling well.
Peeking inside, and Solomito's going to tuck down to that inside wall to try to protect the bottom a little bit. All right, so Priest says I'll slide outside and see what I can do up here.
Yeah, look at that. In. Now he'll do a crossover and try and get down underneath of him.
If he can get the drive off of 4, he might make it to 1, but does not.
And we talk about drive off and side force here. If you look, the cars have got the big, wide sail panels up over the right rear tire and this what we call the C-pillar there. That helps add side force at high speed places. You know, cars that have those windows in them I don't think are creating as much a side force as the guys that are running the solid right rear C-pillar.
So we saw Priest complete the pass. He's now into second. Solomito back behind now, has to worry about Emmerling coming through. Top 6 cars kind of breaking away here, Ray.
They are. You know, again, the rubber's starting to get down, and I was just starting to say, you really can't say enough about Ryan Priest. This is the first opportunity that I've had to comment about how proud as a modified guy I am of this young man for the things that he's done, getting his shot in the Xfinity Series. And he's already got 4 wins this year on the Modified Series. Really proud of one of our Modified guys doing a great job, and hopefully someday getting a better shot or more shots on the Xfinity or Cup side.
We've talked about it all year. One of the hottest young drivers in the country right now is Ryan Priest. And Hirschman doing just what he did at Seekonk, starting from the pole and leading many of the early laps as we watch the battle here. That is the 51 of Bonsignor trying to get around the 46 of Craig Lutz in that red machine.
Yeah, and Dave Sapienza, there's a name that we've talked about, the guy that's been doing a great job being solid in top 5s, top 10s.
Sapienza's in the 36. Comes into the race with 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s to his credit.
Bonsignor just not been able to crack victory lane. Just hasn't had that sharpness that he had last year when he challenged for the championship.
Bonsignor is the only driver in the top 5 not to have won yet this year.
He's got consistency, just missing a little bit of speed. Kyle Eversole up there in the 5. You know, again, Kyle does a great job working down here in the South, and actually is a NASCAR engineer, helps design, unfortunately for some of our guys, the rules. He works on those rules that some people get disqualified for here and there.
Emmerling and Kobe, still a good fight over 4th. Pennick trying to hang on to the tail of those 2.
About 18 laps on those tires now, Ralph. There's plenty of temperature in them. We'll start to see handling really take over now as those tires will start to get greasy. You can see the track starting to darken up in some areas. Those big wide tires have no problem putting rubber down at the speeds that these guys run. Hirschman not only looks more like his father physically every day, he's starting to look like his dad a lot at the racetrack. Dad very good at Oswego for a lot of years. Really smooth on the throttle, kept the tires on the car, and when he was out front, he was tough to beat.
We'll come right back here to Oswego. Racing at the Steel Palace continues after this. Back here in Oswego, race 12 of 16, the 2017 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and Doug Coby in the 2, the most recent winner on the tour, starting to push onto the backside of the 07 of Patrick Emmerling, the winner at Bristol earlier this season. Here he comes up the inside. This might be the move that'll take fourth away from Emmerling.
Yeah, Doug able to hold it down on the bottom there. He'll accelerate up off that corner now. You know, Patrick got a little bit of momentum, but it just doesn't look like he can hold his car as low as Doug can. And, you know, with the speeds here, as those tires start to lose grip, it wants to carry you towards that outside wall. And like we said, you want to stay away from those steel walls. Even if they've got foam on them, Ralph, it still hurts.
And the foam does a tremendous job. Hopefully we don't see it in action here today, but you'll know it when it happens because it'll look like it's snowing early here in the Oswego area. And that's Lutz in that 46. He now has caught up to Emmerling. Oh, and here's Bonsignor getting inside of Pennick, taking over the 7th position. Bonsignor is starting to make his way up towards the back half of the top 5. And already the first third of this race in the books, Ray.
Yeah, it doesn't take them long to put laps down here.
Let's learn more about how Patrick Emmerling's car is running. Let's go down to the pits. Here's Derek Perniciglio.
Patrick Emmerling runs in the top 5 right now. He was 4th a few laps ago. He lost 1 spot. Talked to his crew chief, Jan Leedy, who has raced and won here at the Oswego Speedway in the past. He said the car is loose from the center off, but we're going to make some changes at the halfway break.
A former full-time runner on the tour this year, Ray. He's just running part-time.
Yeah, and the kid has been doing a great job. You know, a big win at Bristol. Loose from the center off, not a good situation right now. He'll probably start to fade back because what that really means is, you know, about the time he wants to go to throttle, you know, he's got to point his wheels to the right. And as I said, you know, when you got your wheels pointed to the right, it's not a good time to put the throttle down. So that's stopping him from making the lap times that he can make. You know, we're watching a lot of guys slide around there. I'm noticing a little bit of a different setup with these cars from the last time I called a race with you, Ralph. They seem to be laid over on the right rear a little bit more. They've got the air dams high. Could be just the speed, but seen a lot of loose cars. I'm afraid if I was a modified guy, I'd be thinking about a bigger sway bar right now.
I'll tell you what, Dave Sapienza in the 36 had been having a pretty good run here. He got hung up on the outside and just got freight trained. About 5 or 6 cars blew right by him. Things not going perfectly with the 36. You can see he's fallen from 9th in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, and we're right about that mark right now where guys that have been hanging on like that are the radios like, how many more laps before we pit? When can I get some tires?
He's going to need them. Meanwhile, Hirschman just clicking him off. This is exactly what he did at Seekonk. He started on the pole, dominated, and then lost it near the end of the night. So we'll see if he can put it all together here today, as Emmerling continues to get pressured from Lutz and now Bonsignor, who's brought his 51 up to this fight. And Ray, the late afternoon sun setting off the backside of turn 1. So as you can see, as those drivers come out of 4 and up the front straightaway, driving straight into the evening sun here.
Yeah, not only are they driving into the sun, but the corners are different temperatures. So, you know, when you're down in probably 3 and 4, you're like, oh, I'm tight. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm loose. Then I'm 1 and 2. So it changes the setup of the car. You've got to make sure that you're going to give good feedback as you're about to pit so your crew chief can make those proper adjustments.
You got to have a good rhythm at this stage of the day because you're going to have a hard time seeing the entrance going into 1. You're almost counting yourself down, aren't you?
Yeah, you really are. And as we talked about, you know, we saw they were still doing 18-second laps, and that's a 5/8 of a mile track. And as you want to be down to the inside, you know, you're kind of blind entering that corner. So you've got to know where your spots are at. And your car's got to respond exactly like you want it to, because if you miss where you want to be by a foot or so, you could be 3 foot off by the time you exit the corner.
Closing in on the halfway point here at Oswego Speedway. Up front, it's been all Matt Hirschman so far here this afternoon, Derek.
Matt Hirschman runs out in front in that black number 60 machine. It's only going to be his third start this year in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Won the pole at the Seacon Speedway last week, won the pole here tonight, and Matt Hirschman seems to think that this is going to be his best shot at winning a tour race this year. He's won the Race of Champions here at the Oswego Speedway, not once, but multiple times. His father, Tony Hirschman, has done the same thing. This is a racetrack that they know like the back of their hand. They have local knowledge here, and they think that they've brought the best piece to compete against the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
I can't argue with any of that, Ray. What I'm wondering about is in 5 laps, we're going to be at the halfway point. That's where we're going to have our break. How do they make adjustments to the car? This is where Priest, Kobe, those guys really tend to come on strong.
That's right, and they have to make adjustments. They just can't say, well, we're leading them, we're good, everything's good. But, you know, they're going to have to get faster because Ryan Priest hasn't given him a break all race long, and I believe he's got a little bit left in his car. And you know, Doug Kobe, the champion that he is, really, those guys are going to adjust that thing to get him up front. And Kobe, you know, he was a bridesmaid for a while all season, but looking for his second straight win right now, so they'll be adjusting on those cars for sure.
He's got a ton of momentum, and this is a time of year, like I said, the mistake I think the rest of the field made was they allowed Kobe back into the fight by giving him that win a week ago. That has really fired up that 2 team, and I think they're going to be a real tough guy to deal with through the end of this season. Just a lap or 2 to go now before we get to the halfway point.
And Priest may be picking up, say, okay, what do I really got here? What am I going to need to pass this 60 car as he closes in just a little bit? He might be taking a measure of him right now, Ralph.
He's definitely closed the gap up.
That car looks good down on the bottom. It's turning, getting good entry, and it's, as I said, he's still closing it in.
Coming off of 4. Both cars look pretty solid. Don't take anything away from Hirschman's ride either, right? That 60 looks good.
Well, we're about to find out what they're going to do.
Here's Kobe back here.
Gary Putnam.
Gary not running in 4th. He's a lap down at this point, but Kobe, he's solidly there in 4th. That's another car that looks solid, planted well into the racetrack here.
Yeah, those cars, those front cars look nice and flat, riding through the bumps well, not rolled over on the right rear.
And there's the caution at the halfway point. Leader of the entire first half of the race has been that man there. Started on the pole, Matt Hirschman has dominated here at Oswego. When we come back, we'll have the second half of the race here at the Steel Palace. Back here at NBCSN, NASCAR's Whelen Modified Tour in action. Oswego, New York. People have been coming to the races here at the Oswego Speedway for many, many years. The Steel Palace, famous for the quality of the action it's produced, and no different here today as Matt Hirschman in the Black 60 has led so far from the pole, but a lot of pressure coming from Ryan Priest, Doug Kobe, and the rest. Ralph Shaheen, Ray Evernham, and Derek Perniciglio with you as we get ready for the second half of the race here today. Patrick Emmerling in the 07. We're being told by NASCAR, Ray, you cannot take fuel and tires at the same time during your pit stop. We're told his car did. He's being sent to the back.
He's sent to the rear. NASCAR is trying to save money and have less crew members, and also for safety, not fueling and doing tires at the same time. So you're not allowed to do that. And obviously, they had somebody putting gas in while they changed tires. So he was sent to the rear.
Green flag is out. Let's see how the adjustments work for the top cars as Hirschman goes back to the lead. But look at Solomito on the inside.
Now there's a
in
guy
the 16.
we talked a lot about last year. He's got a lot of wins this year. Young kid doing a great job. I love these young lions in NASCAR.
He was the guy to beat for the majority of the season, and then all of a sudden the points started slipping away from him. And now he comes into the race here today, 11 markers behind Priest, and he wants some of that back this afternoon.
Somebody's getting a black flag there, Ralph.
I think it's Emmerling because he didn't start from the really true tail of the field.
Oh no, sometimes that's a judgment call. Depends on who the official is. The rule is the true tail of the field. If slower cars are waving you ahead, you've got to be careful. Sometimes the slow guys wave you ahead, that gets you in bigger trouble. Tail of field is tail of field. So he's going to have to come for a pass-through penalty, I believe. There's
Eric Goodale in the 58. He's got Summers behind him. Pennick has a challenge to the inside. It's the 89 machine. That's one of those young up-and-coming drivers, Matt Swanson.
We see Priest has moved back into second spot there, so we'll see what he's got for Matt Hirschman coming up. But look at Solomito. Timmy's dad had a big birthday there a couple weeks ago. It was good to see him. As I said, Jerry, one of the guys I competed against.
And there's Patrick Emmerling headed to the pits for that penalty that we were talking about. What a shame.
Yeah, because that's going to put him a lap or two down, Ralph. That's going to be tough to make up here, especially without caution laps. This race has been pretty caution-free.
So the Bristol winner is not going to have a shot at another victory here tonight as we watch these three continue to battle, and boy, has Priest turned up the heat.
Yeah, he sure has. He is on his bumper right now.
Let's get the story on Patrick Emmerling. Here's Derek down in the pits.
Patrick Emmerling was running in the top 5 of this race, falls out early. Can you tell us what happened?
What happened was apparently the NASCAR went to issue us a penalty, and I did everything they said. I dropped to the back, and then they told me to do a drive-through penalty. I have no idea why, but I'm not going to go out there and risk wrecking my equipment 3-4 laps down doing a drive-through, so I'm done for the day. Took us out of contention. Bad call at the tower.
That's a tough break for Patrick Emmerling. You can hear how dejected he is. He's not running for points, so there was no need for him to tear up the car any further.
I think he might understand a little bit more when he realizes he didn't go all the way to the true tail.
Yeah, emotion's emotion. You break a rule. There was an overlap there. NASCAR made the call, and the rule is true tail. So when he gets a chance to look at this video, I think he'll feel better.
Well, we see Ted Christopher, the veteran, starting a challenge. How about some of the young stars of our next gen?
Hi, I'm Rowan Pennick, driver of the Cape Cod Copper number 3 on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. I got my start in racing go-karts all over the country and moved up to run wall modifieds, and from there moved on to run here at the Whelen Modified Tour. I like racing on the Whelen Modified Tour because it's really tight racing, very competitive, and we love to compete on this level of racing. To win the championship this year, I think we're going to have to finish a lot of races towards the end of the season in the top 5, and it'd really help to get a win or two in there as well. I'm Rowan Pennick, and that's your NASCAR Next Gen profile.
Sits third in the points, and he is just 3 markers out of first place. Rowan Pennick with a win already this year, definitely in the title fight. And here's the battle for the lead, same way it's been all day long. Hirschman in the black 60, Priest giving chase in his number 6. Let's go back down to Derek one more time.
Ryan Priest runs in the second spot right now. He is your point leader, but he's only run 10 races this year. year compared to everyone else who's run 11 races, and Ryan Preece is going to miss yet another race when he runs the NASCAR Xfinity Series later this month in Kentucky. When I asked him, what do you plan to do about winning the championship and missing 2 races, his reply was, just keep winning. We want to try to stretch the point lead out as far as we can once we get to those Xfinity Series races, so we have a nice comfortable pad over second in points.
2013 champion on the tour with 4 wins, 9 top 5s in 10 starts. He's having a great year. He's really going to have to stretch that points lead out, though, Ray, if he wants title number 2.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to do to miss 2 races, but he's got to concentrate on his future. This kid that's got a bright future, he's got a lot of people talking about him in the South right now. He did an excellent job getting that win at Iowa and running well, and he's got a good shot at winning Kentucky. So right now I think his eyes are moving forward. But he is putting a ton of pressure on Matt Hirschman right now. I think Preece's car is definitely better handling, and I think he's just pushing Matt hard enough to get Matt to make one slip up, and he's going to drive under him.
They both go around the outside of Wade Cole's 33. Here's Christopher challenging Lutz, the 82. Oh, and Teddy gets up a little bit high and into the foam blocks. First caution of the day due to an incident on the racetrack. And you can see what I meant about it'll look like it's snowing here at Oswego. As the foam does its job, it absorbs the impact, but it spreads it everywhere.
Yeah, and as I said, Ralph, they're going so fast here, you can slide for a long time and still hit pretty hard. He hit the foam, and look at that car. It's tore up.
Look how it packed the foam inside the wheel. Looks like he's been racing a modified on the dirt.
Just clips it. Yeah, once you're up there in the gray, as I said, you're going really fast. Teddy, one of the best drivers on the circuit, and just couldn't get that car pulled back down without the back end getting away from him.
Listen, if Ted Christopher couldn't save that, nobody in that field was going to save that. There's no doubt about it. Well, the field is taking advantage of it, some of them pitting. Let's go down to Derek.
Rowan Pinnock brings the old blue number 3 down to the crew. They're going to start to go to work, and the tire spins a little bit, and the gun comes around and hits the crew guy right in the head. The gun goes flying. They're going to have to scramble to get a new gun ready. They've got the gun. They're going to try to do a 3-tire change on this car, 2 right side tires and 1 left rear tire.
Well, that's one you don't see too often.
Well, what happens there is if the driver shifts while the gunner is working, they'll jack it up, and actually his foot might have slipped off the clutch, or something really bad happened there, something really dangerous situation. So very lucky that there were no broken wrists, hands, or worse injuries. Seen that happen a lot on pit road when cars are jacked up, Ralph.
Scary moment there, because it did catch him in the head, even with the helmets on, and that's why they wear those helmets, Ray. But boy, that gun gonna weigh a couple of pounds of metal flying like that.
Those guys on pit road do a great job under tough circumstances.
Glad to see everybody's okay. They'll clean up the racetrack. We'll go green when we return. Back here at the Oswego Speedway, the Toyota Mod Classic 150 presented by McDonald's, getting ready for the green flag to come out and get the action going once again here at the Steel Palace.
Yeah, and Preece has got to make this work right now. Just about 35 laps left, side-by-side restarts. Everybody's bunched up. This is his shot at it. If Hirschman gets too far out there on him again, I don't know that he's going to be able to get him. Preece working him hard on the outside, though, Ralph.
Sure is, but a great jump by Hirschman. Priest doing everything he can to make it happen on the outside. Finally has to tuck down inside. This legendary speedway here in Oswego, Ray, used to be the ticket to Indianapolis.
It really was. You know, when you look at guys like Bentley Warren and Gordon Johncock, guys that went there. And I'll tell you, not only that, guys like Mario Andretti would come there, and just because people watched who won at Oswego, and they figured if you could win here and run at these speeds, you were ready to go to Indy.
Now you can also be a big-time dirt racer here, because once a year, they bring Super Dirt Week here now.
Priest
as
on the
we
inside.
see Priest diving inside. Is he going to make it stick on Hirschman? Hirschman not giving up too quick. Priest will lead the lap and take the position as they go into one.
Oh, you were talking about dirt. That was a dirt crossover right there.
It was a great move. Just to complete the story, they do put dirt on this racetrack once a year and go dirt track racing for an entire week up here. Spectacular event. But it's all about the modifieds on the pavement here this afternoon.
Solomito joined the fight right there. He made his adjustments and they liked them, but it looks like Doug Kobe's car didn't like the adjustments that they made on those. And sometimes, Ralph, it's just a matter of an eighth or a quarter inch of tire stagger not being correct at a place like this.
Tight pack going down into the corner here. Summers in the 64 just in front of Pennick. Goodale on the outside. Bonsignor in front of Lutz, with the 20 of Max Zeckham right behind him.
Yeah, one mistake by any of those guys, it's going to be snowing again.
Yeah, you could take out a whole bunch of cars here with one bad move. And the way these cars are bouncing around out there, too.
They're so fast, Ralph. When you look at that shot of those guys coming off the four to go down the front straightaway there, they're flying. I mean, we're probably 140, 150 miles per hour right there.
You gotta have a lot of confidence in your own skills, your equipment, and the guy around you.
Yeah, you know, you got those big wide tires, 650 horsepower, about 2,500 pounds of race car, and it's coming down to the end, so might start to see some of those bumpers and Nerf bars being used a little bit, because if there's not room out there, you've got to find some.
Got to make it happen. Coming down to the final 25 laps, and Ray, we're also going to get to the point where those big wide tires are going to start losing their grip, and guys are going to start slipping and sliding. Derek, what can you tell us about Craig Lutz in the number 46?
Craig Lutz runs just outside the top 5 right now, knocking on Justin Bonsignor's back door in the 5th position. When we talked earlier in the day, it was only his second time to this track, but he likes this track. He says it has a lot of character and it also suits his driving style. The track is very comfortable to him. Last year in this race, he finished 10th, and at the drop of the green, he qualified in the 8th spot. So right now, a very strong run being put together by Craig Lutz, driving for that Riverhead Building Supply team.
Driver out of Miller Place, New York.
And we're seeing a lot of flame out the right side of his exhaust, and that tells me that he's either not closing the throttle all the way, and that may be that sometimes the guys that get around here good, you know, they're real easy on that throttle, but they don't come completely off it in the corner, and they just kind of drag the brake to get the car turned.
Checkered flag awaits when we come back to Oswego. Back here in Oswego, just 12 laps to go. Ralph Shaheen, Ray Evernham, and Derek Perniciglio with you. And Ryan Preece is leading Matt Hirschman.
He's leading him, but he's not driving away like we maybe thought he would. As you said, his tires could start coming into play. You know, has Matt been saving some of his stuff here for the end?
And there's Timmy Solomito, who for the first time in a while, looks like he's going to have a good finish. Get himself up on the podium here today with a top 3. And there's Doug Kobe doing what he's done all year. Be up near the here today with a top 3. And there's Doug Kobe doing what he's done all year. Be up near the front and just hang in there. Working on his 8th top 5 of the season.
Well, he's not a multi-champion by accident. These guys know how to race. He knows what he needs, and if the speed is not in the car that he needs, he knows how to get the maximum amount of points that he can get. He is going to be right in the thick of things as we wind this down. I promise you, Ralph.
Kobe, a 4-time champion. Here's Goodale in the 58.
I like that yellow stripe this year. He didn't have that yellow stripe up the nose last year, did he? I like that.
Good-looking 4-time champion. Here's Goodale in the 58.
I like that yellow stripe this year. He didn't have that yellow stripe up the nose last year, did he? I like that.
Good-looking race car. Race car. I don't care how you paint a modified. I think they all look good.
They are still the sexiest race cars on the planet, if you ask me, buddy.
And Lutz, boy, all the credit to Craig Lutz in that 46. He has been right in the thick of this for a guy who does not run on this tour on a regular basis.
Kid's doing a good job. He's got his hands full. We see him moving around a bit. I think he might have used his right rear up a little bit. And as I said, with 650 horsepower to get you up off that corner, he's going to have his hands full, even though there's only 5 to go.
Tail end of Sapienza's car slipping and sliding too, and Pennick looking to get around him. Whoa, there's Sapienza dancing around on the backside as well again.
Yeah, and as I say that, Lutz is actually closing on Bonsignor, though. A little loose right there.
Look at that slide off of 4.
Little what they say now, we used to call it steering to the right. Now they call it back steering. I do some back steering.
I call it exciting one way or the other. It's fun to watch, and I bet it feels pretty cool from the inside of the race car, too.
These things are the most incredible cars to drive, Ralph. Everybody that's ever driven them just loves them.
Watching the battle for 6, Bonsignor and Lutz. And ready to pounce if anything changes with the two of them is the 20 machine. Zachem right there. Max's car might be one of the better ones in this bunch here. He seems to be a little bit better planted right now.
Yeah, he's just got to find a way to get an open spot and keep that momentum up. You know, Lutz with his handfuls, just driving the heck out of that thing and trying to find his way past Bonsignor. Turning right, turning left, doesn't matter.
Bonsignor's car definitely not the fastest of the bunch, but he's able to make it just wide enough to keep the rest of them behind him, and probably because the rest of them, their cars just aren't solid enough to take advantage of it.
Yeah, with 2 to go here, so we'll see how aggressive they get.
Final lap underway here at Oswego. Ryan Preece looking for win number 5. Here he comes. Taking control of the race in the second half, and Ryan Preece gets victory number 5 of the 2017 season and extends his points lead as Matt Hersham will finish second here today. And Timmy Solomito will gain a little momentum as he gets a top 3 here this afternoon. And to the line, Bonsignor holds off the hard-charging pack behind him.
Well, I'll tell you what, that Priest, amazing job, and love that car. I feel like I just watched Maynard Troyer win at Oswego.
Boy, Ryan Preece, his 5th win, his 10th top 5, and he hasn't run every race this season. Well, as we said, he's one of the hottest young drivers in the country, and we'll talk to him, Ryan Preece, right after this. Well, evening is closing in here at the Toyota Mod Classic 150 presented by McDonald's at the Oswego Speedway in Oswego, New York. And the winner today is Ryan Preece. Here he is getting ready to crawl out of his number 6. The crew ready to celebrate once their driver comes out of the car. Here he is. Let's go to Derek.
Just win. That was Ryan Preece's philosophy earlier in the day when we spoke, and you did just that. You're going to miss another race, but you're still in this title fight. What do you think you can do to win this championship?
Let's keep doing what we did here tonight. Really wanted to try and lead the most laps to get that extra point because every point matters. But being here in Victory Lane here in Oswego, this is a track I've never won at. Finished second here multiple times, thirds. But to get a win here is very special to me. It's pretty unreal.
How hard was it working past Matt Hirschman? He has so much local knowledge here. He's so fast here, and it took you a while to get past.
Well, I think Matt is like the modern day guy who's just winning, and no matter where we go. So to beat him, that's saying something. And you know, and that last after the halfway break, I was kind of riding behind him, pushing him, trying to get him to go. And about 10 laps or so before that, or 5 laps before that caution, I noticed his car starting to wiggle, and I was like, all right, I think I can work him over here. So it was just patience. I had a really good race car, and just got to thank Eddie and Connie Partridge, everybody a part of this race team, for working hard today and to get us back in victory lane.
That'll be 5 wins for Ryan Preece so far this year, and he'll increase his point lead tonight.
He sure will. We'll give you an idea of how much here in just a minute. Remember, it was only 2 coming in, but that tribute car you were talking about looked pretty good.
Yeah, that tribute to Maynard Troyer, it got him up front tonight, but boy, there's some guys right on his tail all the way back. Top 5 have been the guys that have been tough all season, our winners.
Taking a look through the field, we go back down to Derek to hear from Matt Hirschman, who came so close again tonight.
Matt Hirschman is no stranger to the Oswego Speedway. Nice solid run for him. Comes home in the 2nd spot, but did the car start to fade?
Yeah, we just missed it a little bit in the second half. Those tires didn't size up just as well as the first set. We had a real good car. I mean, we showed speed all night. Obviously, it was a 2-horse race with Ryan and myself. Nobody else had anything close to for us. But we had what we needed in the first half to keep him behind us, but he was a little better in the second half. And, you know, he's definitely figured out the option tire and the late pitting. Not that it was a late pit, but after the pit stop, putting that option tire on, he seems to have really figured that out. And for us as a part-time team, it's only our 3rd race and final race of the year. We showed speed last week and this week, and we just got to figure it out a little bit better and build on it if we're going to do it again next year. But the last 2 weeks, you know, the 2 best on this series, just we're able to dial it in a little bit better than we did with the race adjustments, and then today with the change. But when you come to this series, you know those are the guys that got to beat. And you know, when they come race with me, I know I'm one of the guys they always look at. They got to beat. So we just you know, a little bit off, but it's a good run though. Better than last week, having to go to the back and then getting banged up. So we'll take it. We'll build on it. PD Motorsports for the short time we've been together, and we came out last year at the end of the year. We don't have a lot of races under our belts, so we're building, and we're fast, and hopefully we get some more wins in our future.
Well, with only a handful of races under his belt so far this year, Matt Hirschman comes home in 2nd.
Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. A great run, but as we said at the beginning, we thought maybe that option tire would be the difference maker, and it was here tonight. More experience with that for Preece, who had a 2-point lead at the start of the day. Now it's up to 9, so he extends the lead over Doug Kobe, and we go back to Derek.
Well, Timmy Salamito comes home in the 3rd spot in the number 16 machine, gives himself a good points day today. And is this the momentum that you're going to need to go into the next couple of races?
Yeah, certainly. You know, after the last 2 weeks with a little bit of a struggle there. So just happy to come away in one piece, and, you know, we'll go on to the next 4 races and really see what we can come up with. You know, just happy we had a strong run tonight, got some good points, and, you know, we'll go on to Riverhead, my home track, and hopefully, you know, be able to put in a solid run there. We finished 2nd last year, so hopefully we'll improve that by 1, and we'll see where the points end up.
So far, you've only run 2 races at this track, but you've already come away with 2 podium finishes, and you've also started in the top 3. What is it about this place you like?
You know, this place was just really cool. From the first day we got here, You know, the inside wall, outside wall is a little bit different. You know, you carry a lot of speed. It's pretty cool. Reminds me a lot of like Waterford Speed Bowl. You know, you're kind of on the throttle and turning in the corner, really carrying some good speed. So it's just a cool track. I like this place. I like Thompson. Those are probably two of my favorites. So, you know, we'll see what the end of the year brings, and, you know, hopefully it'll be a good one.
The kid from Islip, the natural, Timmy Solomito, comes home with a podium finish.
And certainly still in the thick of this battle.
Oh, absolutely, and especially, and we know that Ryan Priest is going to miss a race.
That's right.
That opens the door for Solomito and for Kobe.
Well, next up, literally next up, right after our show, K&N Pro Series East coming your way from Langley, Virginia. Good title fight going on there as well. Ray, great to have you back in the booth with us.
Hey, great to be back. Can't wait for the next one.
We'll have it all for you as we chase to the championship here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. The Steel Palace is in the books, and the winner here today is Ryan Priest. For Ray Evernham and Derek Perniciglio, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from Oswego.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted,